every mainline SSTWL and LVA character in order of appearance.
Part 6. Julie Rowe.
Julie Rowe is a psychopath. I don't mean that she's just generically evil, she is by definition of the diagnostic a psychopath. Ever since childhood, she was fascinated with death and would kill and find dead animals to string up in her room. At some point, prior to Callie's massacre at the school, she would become infatuated with classmate John Matthews. Julie, who was desperate to show her true self to John, determined that if she could drive him to madness to the point of killing, then they could be together. She would begin a series of manipulative tactics, tricking John by self-harming and telling him it was being inflicted by her custodial uncle. John would eventually confront her uncle with the intent of killing him, but he backed out, opting to stab himself instead and frame it as an attempted murder. Shortly after the stabbing incident, Julie would be the sole survivor after her classroom was massacred by left-hand host Callie. This was an intentional move by Callie, who would infect Julie with a left-hand parasite. Julie would continue her psychopathic tendencies, concealing her identity as a left-hand until once again confronting John 4 years later, shortly after he had met the now weaponized Callie. Julie would attempt to kill Callie, but would be unsuccessful and die shortly after to Subject 104 in a confrontation with Reefnock. Julie was the first example seen in design of a Class 5 left-hand, who are identified by their much faster regeneration and the ability to rearrange their bones and tissue into weapons and tools. The primary tactic seen used by Julie was rearranging her stomach material and ribcage into 4 flesh tendrils in mockery of Callie's chains. Julie hasn't left too much of a relative impact in Liam's stories following design, but she was briefly mentioned in Puppet Game as the first contestant to be killed by melee, and flesh tendrils would eventually be seen again as a weapon utilized by Sin.